In this episode, I'm going to show you how to use AI as an antivirus so you can analyze email links, email content, AI generated code, prompts, and many other things. Actually, the AI prompt for the antivirus has 21 different categories of which you can add or delete sections to fit your needs. Hi, my name is Christian, and welcome to Creating Job Security by Mastering the AI Superstack. In this mini-series, we're treating AI like what it's quietly become, a modern antivirus for the real world. In episode 1, which is this one, we will start with the fundamentals, using AI to inspect untrusted content before it ever touches your system, your inbox, or your workflow. Not just code, but emails, links, documents, messages that look harmless on the surface. This groundwork matters because once you understand how to use AI as a defensive layer, you unlock something much bigger. In the next episodes, we will take that same protection mindset and applying it to downloading AI assets safely for offline use, and then push it even further, using AI antivirus techniques to spot fake recruiters, scam job offers, and social engineering attacks that target professionals right now. So here's my antivirus prompt, and this prompt is designed to run in all the different AI models. And allows me, the way it's designed allows me to paste content after I run this prompt. So it's got a mode gate. So it will not execute a prompt if you run it after this prompt to be analyzed. But the most important section of this whole prompt, this antivirus prompt, is the list. So it has different sections. For example, it's going to analyze the email link, the email content, the sender. It's going to check if there's any file manipulation, especially if you download Python code, which I'm going to explain in the next episode. Also code injection, the purpose of the code that you download, any attachment risks, any social engineering indicators. I did put, so in some examples in this video, you're not going to see example 21, but basically, this is designed to find out if the recruiter that's sending you an email is actually doing data harvesting, if they really have a reputation of not really getting you a job. It's going to basically assign a color coding to the answer, and it's going to put everything in a table. It's going to define everything as no risk, low, medium, high, and critical. Some AIs will allow you to see background colors, but that's not guaranteed because a lot of these AI models stripped any type of formatting. So let's see it in action. So for our first section, we're going to do email analytics using the prompt antivirus. And the first thing you can do is check individual links. Then we're going to check the email content. And finally, we're going to download the email and check the EML file. So for the email example, I'm going to use this email I received from Equifax, which is a settlement with a prepaid card. And I also downloaded the file as well. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run the antivirus prompt. Now I have two prompts, one for all the AIs, and I have one that is specific for Copilot. For some reason, Copilot doesn't like the prompt that we use for all the other AI. So let's run the first one. So we're going to start with ChatGPT. We're going to run the antivirus prompt. We're going to go to Claude, same thing. Gemini. DeepSeek. Kimi K2. Now I have to use a different browser for Grok. I am out of credits for today and using my other account, so I have to use a different browser with a different account. And here's Qwen. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to copy the Copilot antivirus prompt. And let's go back here and run Copilot. So there we go. Okay, so how does the link, why is the link antivirus so important? Because the link that you see on the email is not the real link. So all these emails are HTML encoded, and if you put your mouse over the link, you will see at the bottom in the status bar, you will see that the link has a really long code, and that code is usually used for tracking. But people that want to hack your email account or they want to infect your computer, they can also use these phony links. They're not phony, they're just HTML encoded. So what you see here on the screen is not necessarily what the real link is. And that's why you always have to look at the status bar. So one of the ways you can do this, and you have to be very careful, you can right click on it and you can say copy link address. So we're going to go back. We're going to start again with ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste that link. And I'm going to go to Claude, same thing, paste the link. Gemini, paste the link. Copilot, which is using a different prompt, but I can paste the link. DeepSeek, paste that link. Kimi K2, paste the link. I'm going to go to Grok and paste that link. You see it's asking me for the payload. So here's the prompt, and then it's asking for the payload. Now, Grok is a little different. It gave me two options, but it's the same. It's asking for the payload, and we finally have Qwen. Okay, so let's start with ChatGPT. ChatGPT basically gave me, just like I requested, a classification that is color-coded. It's analyzing the link, see if there's any spoofing, and basically it's giving a medium risk for that. Email content, there's no email content, so it's going to say insufficient data. But for example, the domain, there's not an official Equifax domain, but let's see what the other AIs have to do. And of course, if something doesn't apply, like there's no code, it's going to tell you none, right? So if we go to Claude, we're going to also see a table. The email analysis or the link analysis, it's the same thing as ChatGPT. It's not the official domain. Okay, so for Gemini, I had to paste the link 3 times, and this happens in all the AIs, okay? And it finally gave me what I wanted. Now, it's very important that, so it's using SendGrid. So Gemini was smart enough to basically understand that they're using a third-party email content or distribution company to send the email. And here's the most important part about this. So it recognized the actual website where the link is going to. And so although the previous 2 AIs, which is ChatGPT and Claude, did not recognize this domain, Gemini did. So if we go to Copilot, it's basically saying, hey, you have to be careful because breach settlements, themes, URLs are commonly used as scams. But we know from Gemini that it's good. If we go to DeepSeek, and if we go to the email section, so you see it's an official settlement website. So it's a low risk. So both Gemini and DeepSeek did very well for the link. Let's go to Kimi K2. It says it's low. So unfortunately for Kimi, we have to scroll. So let's go back up here. And so you see it's a legitimate Equifax settlement domain. So for the last 2, I'm going to go to a different browser. I'm going to go to Grok. And Grok did not give us a table answer, but it did analyze the link, and it says it's legitimate. And it's a legitimate email. So let's go to Qwen. So Qwen did not like the link. But we know from the previous Gemini, Grok, and DeepSeek that it's a legitimate email. So you're not going to get the same results from everyone. Once again, there's some AIs that will be better for some things and others will be better for others. Okay, so for example 2, we're going to copy the content of the email. Now, this might not seem as valuable as the link, but it does have its benefits. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my antivirus. Now, I ran this in all the other AIs, but I'm just going to show you how to run in ChatGPT. So I'm going to run first the antivirus prompt, and then I'm going to highlight the email. Okay, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and run it. It's going to give me my table answer of how risky this is. Now, remember, this is not analyzing the links, because the links, as I mentioned in the previous example, they could be HTML encoded. So this is basically analyzing the content of the email. Okay. And so it says, well, it's kind of low. Okay. Now the content says that it's a legal entity, but that's because it's not analyzing the actual URL where the links are going. But, you know, like I said, it's not as valuable as the link, but it's also valuable because it's analyzing the content itself. So all the AIs, you know, they have different results, some better than others, depending on what you're trying to do. And this is no different from the antivirus companies. I mean, some antivirus companies actually identify some viruses while others don't. So the AIs is basically the same. It's basically the same problem. Okay. And you're going to have to make a decision. Of course, this seems like it's time consuming because I prepared this whole thing for an email video. But if you really wanted to analyze an email, it would only take you less than a minute. You just need to have the prompts handy. And as you can see, Grok, like always, doesn't give you a table content for some reason. So I filed a claim with Equifax, which I don't remember doing, but anyway. And Qwen, same thing. Same thing. It didn't give me a table. No, it did give me a table. So it does give you a table. So like I mentioned before, some of these Chinese AIs, unfortunately, you have to scroll to the right. So that's analyzing the email content. So for example 3, we downloaded this email, and basically you do it by, every email client is going to be different, but you click on the 3 dots and you say download message. Okay, and that's going to download it to your computer. And I already have it ready. Now, this is called an EML file. It's an email file. Okay. Now, let me show you how this works. So for this example, I'm going to start with Claude. So I ran it in all the other ones already, but we're going to paste it in Claude. And then I'm going to drag that email file into Claude. So there it is. And I'm going to run it. And so I'm going to do the same for all the other AIs. So Claude was able to analyze the email file with no problem. And if we go to ChatGPT, same thing. It was able to analyze the email file. Gemini, same thing. No problems analyzing the email file. Copilot was not able to analyze. If I try to, it won't support email files yet. So Copilot failed. The same thing happened with DeepSeek. DeepSeek does not like email files. Kimi K2, no problem. It was able to analyze the email files. Grok was able to analyze the email file with no issues. And Qwen did not like the email file. So if we try to put the email file, see, it doesn't support that type of file. But it's basically the three techniques that we have in order to check emails. So the next example is using AI to download assets offline. In other words, download the code that AI uses to produce results. And I'm going to have an in-depth episode on this subject, which happens to be the next episode. But basically, I want to download the captions for this video. Now, if I am the owner of this video, I can easily do it by going to YouTube Studio. But there's other ways of downloading the captions. I could grab this URL, and actually I could go to Google Gemini and says give me the captions for, and I can put my YouTube link, and actually Gemini will generate the captions that are inside that video. Now, this is great. I can do this, but what happens if for some reason I have reached the maximum amount of requests that Gemini allows me to do in a day? Or what happens if I don't have the money to pay for the Gemini subscription? Or what happens if I want to do this faster? So what I can do is I can go actually to any of the AIs and I can say, well, give me the Python script to download the captions, okay? So I downloaded, I went to ChatGPT, it gave me the Python script. I have it here, and I have a test folder, as you can see, and the actual code is sitting there. And the only thing I have to do now is I have to basically run this command. Now, it doesn't mean you have to become a programmer. I'm just showing you one of the examples. And if I run this code, basically what's going to happen, it's going to download the captions for me, and it's going to put them in that same folder. Now, if I open this in Notepad, okay, you will see that the same captions that Google gave me are in the same not necessarily exactly the same format. Actually, I would say this format is kind of better because it has a start time and an end time. But now I have an asset. I have a downloadable offline asset that I can use to produce results without the need of an AI subscription. Now, of course, there's risks with doing this. The first one is that the technical knowledge is a little bit higher. And of course, you don't want to download code that could harm your computer. So we're going to use AI to scan this. So to make this video shorter, I'm going to start with Copilot this time. So we're going to go to Copilot and run the antivirus script. And then we're going to come back and get the Python code that downloads the captions. And it's basically going to analyze the risks of that script. And of course, the script section is a little bit further down than the actual email. So I have sections for email. So here we go, download captions, there's medium risk. The confidence means it knows what it's doing. So the response confidence is high. But the risk for the code, for example, code injection, the risk is very low. File manipulation is low. Network and external communication, well, it has to go out to YouTube and get the script. So I guess that's why it's medium. Okay, so I ran it against all the other AIs. ChatGPT, same code. So it basically ran in Claude as well. Very low risk for Claude. Gemini, if we go to the code section, code injection is probably the highest risk that you'll get. Grok, and Grok was able to give me a table answer this time. And very low risk. Claude thinks is very low risk. DeepSeek, medium risk for code injection. Qwen, I was not able to run this prompt in Qwen. For some reason, doesn't like Python code to be analyzed by the antivirus. And Kimi K2, low risk. And that goes to show that we can use the AI antivirus for emails, for downloadable AI assets like Python code. And now we're going to test prompts. So for this third example, I'm using a prompt that I used in a previous episode, which is basically analyzing how to optimize operations in a company with 120 employees across sales, marketing, finance, HR, IT, and customer support. Now, I ran it across all the AIs. And in some of the AIs, I actually had to say my request payload is a prompt. So sometimes when you run a prompt on top of another prompt, it tries to execute the second prompt. So in this instance, for example, in ChatGPT, I actually had to specify that my request payload is a prompt. And I had to do the same thing in Claude. So the prompt section is like down here, cross AI validation, plain English right here. For Gemini, I had to do the same thing. I had to say my request payload is a prompt. It was able to rank prompt injection is very low right here. For Grok, I had to do the same thing if I'm not. There we go. My request payload is a prompt. So, but it was able, once I put that text right before the prompt, it was able to treat my prompt as the payload that I'm trying to analyze with the antivirus. For Copilot, I didn't have to say, yes, I did. My request payload is a prompt as well. So, so as you can see, it can analyze prompts. ChatGPT, no problem. It was able to analyze the prompt. Qwen, unfortunately, I reached my maximum credits for today, but Qwen had a lot of problems with the Python code, and now reaching my maximum amount of requests per day. Kimi K2, I'm very surprised with Kimi K2. It's becoming one of my favorite Chinese AIs, and yeah, no problems detected at all with this prompt. And so that concludes this episode. Once again, I'm only using these 3 examples. There could be so much more that you can do. Remember, you can always add more things to the list. I mean, the list is not set in stone. If you want to analyze other things, or if you want to remove things that you don't care about, if you're not going to do code, you don't need the code section. If you're not going to do file and network, you don't need this section. So basically, the AI is whatever you need the AI to be. As always, all the prompts in this episode are going to be hosted in my GitHub account, and you can go to the language that fits you best, and you can see the prompts individually. Now, I always like to show people how to use GitHub. This is the prompt you want, but it's not in the format you want. You want to hit on code, and that's the prompt you can use. So you can actually select this whole thing, right? And you can right click on it and say copy. You can download it that way, or you can just click on the download button right here, and that will download it to your computer. Another way of doing this is I have a zip file, and the zip file, you do the same thing. You click on the zip file, and then you click on the download button, and that's how you download the prompts. So here are my final thoughts. The antivirus perform well when you use all of the AIs at the same time. And of course, not all the AIs perform equally. For example, some of them don't support EML files, which is probably the best way to scan an email, which is able to see not only the link that you see with your eyes, but also the link that's hidden behind the HTML. We also noticed that some AIs were better at being informed with current events, like, for example, the Equifax settlement. Some of them didn't know about the website and some did. I would say that Grok is probably the best when it comes to social media, And if you're inspecting code, Claude is probably the best way to go. And don't forget, this is just a prompt that you can modify to fit your needs. So you can add or delete sections of the prompt. And you can make it shorter if you want. You can make it work for you. And don't forget, you can always contact me via LinkedIn. And thank you for watching.